The 70s was an interesting time for the automotive world. Many people associate it with cars that were a bit crap, such as the terribly built but still awesome vehicles British Leyland was churning out, as well as the large underpowered yachts with enough torque to reverse the rotation of the Earth that America was creating during the Malaise era. However, the 70s weren't all bad, as we saw the rise of Japanese automakers such as Datsun and Toyota, and, importantly for today's video, the emergence of the supercar, a never-ending race to see who can produce the maddest looking, fastest, loudest and most powerful machine. The 70s saw some absolutely amazing performance cars such as the Esprit, the Countach and the Bora, Maserati, not Volkswagen. But there is one concept car which had the potential to be the greatest supercar of the 70s, the Aston Martin Bulldog. But what is this thing and what happened to it? Well, let's explore. Our story starts in the mid-1970s. Aston Martin was struggling with money, and so they began working on the new Lagonda, a radical, angular, futuristic four-door saloon which caused quite a stir in the automotive world when it was revealed in 1976. They then turned their attention to this new supercar battle that was emerging. Maserati had released the Bora in 1971, with Di Tommaso releasing the Pantera that same year. Lamborghini replied by releasing the iconic Countach in 1974. Aston Martin decided they wanted to not just enter this battle, but finish it. They wanted to produce the world's fastest production car, a title currently held by the Lamborghini Miura with a top speed of 179 miles an hour. Aston wanted to hit 200. This would make their new vehicle the first production car ever to do so. This would not only generate a lot of publicity for the brand, but would also show off Aston Martin's new engineering facility in Newport Pagnell. Aston got William Towns, who had only recently finished the Lagonda, to pen the design for their new supercar. He continued the angular wedge theme, creating a car that was 15.5 feet long, 3 feet and 7 inches tall, and 6 feet wide. It looked incredibly futuristic. It looked like something Spock would drive to Sainsbury's. Aston Martin's chief engineer, Mike Loseby, began to work on the mechanical design. The new car would have a tubular steel chassis, aluminium bodywork, and a 5.3-litre twin-turbo V8, which supposedly produced around 600 horsepower and was located behind the driver. In 1977, work began on actually building this monster, which was now named the Bulldog, after the plane that Aston's managing director Alan Curtis flew. But it was given the name K9 after that one robot dog from Doctor Who. Progress was quite slow, as many engineers and managers were too busy trying to work out how to actually build the Lagonda. You know, all those fancy touchscreen electronics that were shown off at the London Motor Show? Well, nobody knew how to actually make them work properly, and so they had to spend 4 times the development budget of the entire car figuring this out. Mike Loseby left Aston Martin in 1979 and joined DeLorean, which, as history shows, went fantastically. Also, that same year, the Lagonda finally entered production, and so Aston could turn their attention back to the Bulldog. Keith Martin, a 29-year-old development engineer who had only been at the company for 2 years, was tasked with finishing the supercar with a group of 6 other engineers, and they were given just 1 year to do so. And somehow, within just 8 months, they had a drivable vehicle. It wasn't exactly complete, considering a few of the body panels were held on by masking tape, but at the Millbrook Proving Grounds in November 1979, the Bulldog moved for the first time. The team planned to stick to just 60 to 70 miles an hour in order to not break anything, but once engineer Steve Hallam got in the car, he began lapping the 2-mile banked bowl at 130 miles an hour. They pushed the car to around 135 before the nose section fell off, putting a stop to their fun. The Bulldog was finally completed a few months later, and was revealed to the public for the first time on the 27th of March 1980 at the Bell Hotel in Aston, Clinton. And it was marvellous. It had electronically operated gull-wing doors and one of the most insane headlight arrangements I have ever seen. Inside it had leather seats, wood trim and futuristic LCD instrument displays. The audience was understandably blown away, especially when Aston Martin revealed the theoretical top speed 237 miles an hour. That's McLaren F1 territory. But did it ever reach these speeds? Well, not quite. During a test at Myra, the car reached 191 miles an hour, just 9 miles per hour short of its target speed, although it was carrying a passenger, so a more realistic top speed was thought to be around 200 to 210. Aston planned to take the Bulldog to Volkswagen's high-speed test circuit at Wolfsburg, which had a 5-mile-long straight, as they believed it would be able to break the 200 miles an hour barrier, although they never got around to doing this. Thousands of miles of testing was put into the car throughout 1980, driving it between shows to use it as a PR piece. And it was a very good PR piece. Aston Martin planned to build around 15 to 20 examples of the Bulldog. However, in 1981, Victor Gauntlet became chairman. Aston's financial issues were worsening, and it was decided that it was way too costly to actually put the Bulldog into production, and so it was sold to Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Saud for around £130,000, equivalent to just over £500,000 today. Fun fact, a few days after he got the car, Mohammed was driving down the motorway in 4th gear at around 168 miles an hour when he accidentally shifted into 3rd instead of 5th and blew the engine up. The Bulldog was promptly taken back to Aston to be repaired. Mohammed also made some changes to the car. He painted it green, added some wing mirrors, and replaced the brown interior with a rather lovely cream colour. Am I just a 75-year-old man, or does cream leather actually look fantastic? You wouldn't want to eat a Magnum ice cream in it, but still, looks cool. Anyways, throughout the next few decades, the Bulldog remained with various private owners, including one in America. It spent most of its time in storage, but it made rare appearances at shows, such as the 2009 Goodwood Festival of Speed and the Aston Martin's 100th anniversary celebration at Kensington Park Gardens in 2013. Apparently, by this point, it wasn't able to run and was in dire need of a restoration. Luckily, in 2020, it was bought by car collector Philip Seraphim, and it underwent a 1.5-year-long nut and bolt restoration at Classic Motor Cars, overseen by Victor Gauntlet's son, Richard. This restoration had one goal: to get the Bulldog to go 200 miles an hour. The team spent around 7,000 hours on the car, restoring it back to original condition. Its interior and paintwork was changed back to the original colours, and those pointy wing mirrors were gotten rid of. They also reinforced the Bulldog's steel space frame chassis, and they completely rebuilt the V8 engine, which was increased to 5.7 litres, and given 2 Garrett turbos and modern fuel injection. When CMC put the car on their dyno, it reached around 650 brake horsepower before destroying it. CMC said that another 200 brake horsepower was maybe possible, as the engine didn't reach its full potential before frying the dyno. By the end of 2021, the Bulldog's restoration was complete, and now there was only one thing left to do: hit 200 miles an hour. In November 2021, an initial shakedown was completed at RNAS Yeovilton. Running reduced boost on partial throttle and with a 50 miles an hour crosswind thanks to a storm, the Bulldog managed to hit 162 miles an hour. Things were adjusted and it was time for the actual run. Piloting the car would be Darren Turner, an Aston Martin factory driver and 3-time Le Mans class winner. However, the storm worsened. It began to rain heavily, and so the Bulldog only managed 176 miles an hour. However, CMC would not give up that easily. Over a year and a half later, on the 6th of June 2023, they tried again. This time at Campbelltown Airport in Scotland. Darren Turner was once again behind the wheel, and the conditions were perfect. Accelerating down the runway, the Bulldog hit a top speed of 205.4 miles an hour. Finally, after 45 years, the Bulldog had completed the thing it was designed to do. Since then, it's won the wedge-shaped concept cars and prototypes class at the 2024 Pebbles Beach Concours d'Elegance. It sounds like that category was specifically made for the Bulldog. It now resides in America with its owner, Philip Seraphim. Anyway, that is it from me today. If you did enjoy it, please go down below, leave a like, maybe even subscribe. Also follow me on Twitter at AutoAdmiration, and I do hope to see you next time.